In this video we talk about Spooky Castle, a game by Queen Games that I picked up on Amazon a couple of days ago. I didn't know anything about it. The only reason I picked it up is because it was available for really cheap price. I think it was like $6 or $7, something insane like that. Many games by Queen Games were available for very low prices. I don't know if they still are. It wasn't like labeled as a sale. They just slashed the price. Now, Spooky Castle is a game for children, mainly children really, and it's a cooperative game, which is always good when you're playing with the young ones. In this game, players work together to help a ghost to pass his sort of like qualification exam. Like, it apparently after you die you need to take a test to make sure that you're ready to be a real ghost. I don't know what is the plot. The plot hook is something silly like that, but it's really not all that important. The point is that in the game you will use this magnetic wand to try to collect magic items from this castle. Try not to get caught by these ghosts here. The box, as you can see, is used for the game. It's a game component. You place this board in the box, matching these dots here with the dots that you see on the edges. Then you have these partitions that you use to create the castle, and you can combine different parts of these partitions together, forming different elements, and also you can place them in different combinations and orientations on the board. For example, if I have that, as you can see, that's very different configuration from that. Or that. Nice replay value there. Also nice ways to change the difficulty of the game. A partition placed like this is much less difficult to handle than the one that I showed you before, for reasons that will be clear in a minute. Other elements, you have these colored tiles here. You shuffle them face down at the beginning of the game, and then you draw a number of them, and after you do, you place them by the dots on the board that has that color, correspond to that color. So we will place these guys on that side, on the table, but I place them there so you can see them. These guys will stay here, and so on and so forth. Not all of them would be used every game, and not each dot will receive the same number of tiles. Some dots may receive no tiles at all. And with more of these tiles, the game is easier. With fewer, the game is harder. So there are many ways of tweaking the difficulty level of the game. Finally, you have these tiles that are used to determine the items that the players will try to collect. And again, the number is based on how hard you want your game to be. The more items you have, the harder it is. Finally, there's a timer, and the same as above. The longer time you give yourself, the easier. If you give yourself less time, then the game is much harder. In any case, there will be a limited number of minutes that you will have to collect the items that are depicted on the tiles. One player becomes the active player and wears this mask here, which is really pretty cute. It's a pretty cute mask. My daughters just enjoy wearing it for the sake of it, although you can't see, so as you can imagine, some bad things may happen when they run around being the blind ghost. One player wears that mask. Actually, one player puts that mask on their head without putting on their eyes yet. Then that player takes this wand that has a magnetic tip here and puts it on one of the dots vertical. It is recommended that you keep it as vertical as possible rather than just like this, and then it goes around, so you can control it better. So the blinded player puts it there, then the player puts the mask over their eyes. Now the player is blind for all intents and purposes, and the game can start. The other players collectively, in an organized fashion, hopefully, try to give indications to the blind player, driving the blind player to one of the items on the currently active tile, and they can be reached in any order. So trying to give that player indication to go to one of the items without touching the purple ghost. So I would say right, stop, forward, stop, right, forward. There you go. And the goal is to bring the item back to the initial dot. If that happens, then the players that are not blinded remove this guy, and they proceed to try to get the other item. If the other item is collected too, then the tile is removed, another player becomes the active player, we should say the active ghost, and you continue like this until either time is out. And if that happens before you have collected all the required items, the team lost the game, or the players collected all of the items before time runs out, in which case they win the game. However, as you can see, there are also some ghosts here that will try to stop you because they can get stuck on your wand too. When that happens, it's pretty bad because the blinded player, guided by the other players, must bring the ghost back to one of these color dots that still has one of those tiles. Basically, these tiles here are sort of like fail safes, or sort of like for each of these, one of your mistakes is forgiven, but you do have to get there. Then this is removed, the ghost is placed here, and the active player can continue the search, again, guided by the other players, which means that if you get to a point when all of these tiles have been consumed and somebody latches onto a ghost, there is no way of getting rid of the ghost, the players also lose the game. And this is in essence Spooky Castle. Look, I wasn't sure that I would like it or that my daughters would like it because it just looked and felt very gimmicky. It turns out, of course, that the way parents and adults perceive things is not always the way kids do, and my kids really liked it. My daughter Amelia really enjoys it. We like cooperative games in general. You know, and it can get loud, it can get silly, but then after a while, after we play for a couple of minutes, the kids start getting very serious, really putting their mind onto it, and it's very good in that sense because the cooperation is interesting. For young kids such as mine that are 4 and 6, then that also has to do with communication. It has to do with coordination. My daughter Amelia, well, I wouldn't say that she doesn't know right from left, but it's good to have that reinforced. Sometimes the time it's like, wait, right is the hand I'm holding the one with, right? Yep, that's the right, so let's go that way. And, you know, and when I'm the blind player and she is giving me instructions, then she sits next to me because reversing right and left would be hard otherwise. So it's pretty fun because you can see that as simple as that, following instructions, giving clear instructions, working together with other people, really is a cooperative element that comes across very well. It's a cooperation that I liked, that I like. There are other games where, for adults mainly, where cooperation means we discuss together what to do. And that is great, but, you know, all too well if you play those games that the danger of an alpha player always exists. Here, not so much because maybe you have a quote-unquote mini alpha player and the alpha player is blinded, so what's the alpha player gonna do? The alpha player better be nice and listen and do what other people say. So I like this fact that it's true cooperation in which really everybody has to work well together. You can't just have a player taking over and making decisions for other people. In that sense, this is a really good cooperative game and really good cooperative game for kids. I do not know that it will stay fresh all that much because after all, gameplay feels the same. You can change the difficulty here, but gameplay is pretty repetitive. On the other hand, at least I found a copy that was very cheap, and we played it a couple of times. Again, I spent like $6 or $7 or so. Even if we were never to play it again, I feel that was good enough. You know, my money investment was worth it. If we go to the movie theater, we are out there after 90 minutes, and we spend much more than that. In truth, I would say, even if we were never to play it again, we had fun playing it for a couple of times. But I do believe that we'll play it more because it's fun, it is enjoyable, it is gimmicky, yes, but kids like gimmicks, and here the gimmick is a way for the kids to become part of a cooperative experience that really is fun for them and is challenging but not too much. And I really appreciate the fact that there are endless ways in this game to tailor the difficulty of the game to the needs of your group. In general, Spooky Castle may not be the greatest game that there is out there, not even the greatest game for kids, But if you find a copy around that is affordable, then this could be a good game to add to your collection.